Welcome back to the channel, everybody. New, old, passing by, unsubscribed, fan, not fan, whatever your relationship is to the channel. Thanks for watching and making it this far into the video. Ideally, I would like to have this car done before the end of the month. Today is January 9th, 2024. So if I could have it done before the end of the month, I think that would be a huge flex. Realistically, I don't see why I wouldn't be able to be like really close, because it's not that much. It is, but it's also not. First thing we're starting with is we're swapping out the subframe. So we sourced him another subframe and got it powder coated. Well, it's not powder coated, it's actually just regular paint, but it came out very, very nice and it looks really good. And I forget what he said, but there's something wrong with the subframe that he has in here. It maybe it's tweaked or something. I don't remember, but it needs to be replaced. Not our recommendation, he told us it needs to be replaced, so we're not just doing stuff to do it. So we're gonna drop the subframe, replace the steering rack bushings. I already took the wheels off. I'm removing the ABS sensors as well since we're here. An ABS delete was done at some point, and that's that contraption over there. But all the lines are still there and the sensors are still there, so obviously this was done after the fact because even the wiring for the sensors has been heat shielded and rerouted. If you've never dropped an FD subframe before, relatively speaking, it's kind of easy. There's a lot of like little stuff that's attached to it, and of course the engine is out, so it makes it a bit different of a job, but it's not really all that hard. It's just kind of not. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are nuts, and then the 2 bolts in the back, and then of course all the stuff that attaches to it and just drops down. You don't have to unbolt the lower control arms from the knuckle. Once you take the hardware out from the sides, the whole arm just comes out and swivels out of the way, and then you don't have to do anything about that. So it's just out of the way. And then the upper A arm and literally everything else holds the knuckle up, so nothing is hanging or nothing's wrong. So you can do that. And with the rack unbolted, we can see the condition of these bushings, which is not great. Which actually, before I even take it off, you can see bushings already just like kind of pushing out the side here. So that already lets you know that these are like super bad and not great, because they're not supposed to do that at all. That lets you know that they're not good. So let me pry these off. Oh yeah, you can see how it's split too. Well, the split, not that split. I mean the this way split. So pry these off, put the only rack bushings you should be buying on the car there. There's your part number from Super Pro. I'm gonna throw these on. Much better, much better. So clean, new, shiny subframe is in. New rack bushings are in. We did find some funky stuff with the hardware that attaches the lower control arm on this side to the subframe. So we're actually gonna replace those with the correct bolts, and that'll be square. So the ABS sensors are out. It was a pain to remove them. They were very much happy where they were and very stuck, but got them out without having to destroy them, I guess, too much, but doesn't matter, not being reused anyway. So those are out. Next thing we're gonna do the ABS delete kit according to our list of things here. It's the one thing that will look the most looky-loo, I guess. I don't really know a better way to say it, but it'll look the most looky-loo. It'll look like a lot happened, because all this will disappear. That whole area will get cleaned up. It's just a big thing. So go ahead and install that right-hand drive, left-hand drive ABS delete kit that we make here in-house. I don't say make, we assemble here in-house, because we don't actually make any of the parts other than the L bracket, and even then we don't make that. We have them made. But anyway, if you're interested in that for your FD, check out thing in the corner there. You can get yourself a kit. We are keeping the heater situation. So typically I like to delete these because they're messy. They're real messy. It's really hard to make the heater assembly look good, but we are keeping it in this car, so that's not coming out, which is fine. It's nice to have heat sometimes. Progress has many forms, and this form is what you actively see here. The crazy thing about like doing heavy work and big jobs like this is that once you get into a groove and you start jobbing, like it's hard to stop and do this. And the reason why I'm doing this right now is because it's the end of the night and I'm gonna leave, so I'm done working. But went ahead and cleaned up everything else, got all the stuff out, pulled the charge harness out, which this entire thing is gonna get remade so that it's not crap. Once I pulled this bracket off, it looks a lot worse on camera, but when I pulled this bracket off, these points here were sanded down to bare metal. Stop doing this. It doesn't work. That's not how grounding works. Stop doing that, because it's just raw metal now in the car, and it sucks. Anyway, I went ahead and fixed the hard lines, so they are proper AN now instead of this, which there's nothing wrong with this. Actually, there's nothing wrong with this. For a DIY, perfectly acceptable. Literally, this is the method I would advise people to do. But if you're paying somebody to do it, the correct way is to cut it, put the compression fitting on, and go about your way. This is not acceptable from a shop. All the AC stuff is out, the ABS stuff is out, and you can see how much it just cleans up that backside. Like a lot, a whole lot. And then something that the homie Brandon showed me, besides revealing the secrets of the dipstick, of your engine dipstick, which is pretty dope how he showed me that. He showed me how to do this. It seems so obvious, but it's not. So the hood release cable on the right-hand drive cars anyway, you can do this. Like, so this is already open in the back, and both these sides are open already. So what you do is you take the cable, run it through here, you poke a hole here, which ended up being a little bit bigger than a 5/16. I just used the Dremel to walk it out until it was just the exact size. And then you poke that hole, and then you can route the hood release cable right through here. And then it hugs along here. You reuse one of these little weird clips that's already on it, and then it just routes, and then it reaches with no issue at all. Like, it's not taut, it's not too slack, it's not nothing. This just works. So super clean, and that really changed the game for me to be able to do that. The stock oil cooler lines are out along with their fittings, because we're going to make custom lines to go with the V-mount and go with, you know, the overall thing. The factory hard lines, they're fine, there's nothing wrong with them, but for what we're doing, they're obtrusive and they just do not work. So a solution needs to be made, and he's not ready to actually upgrade his stock coolers. He just would like to keep the stock coolers, which they're perfectly fine, and we're just going to make new lines off of them. We do make a line kit if you're interested in that. It may or may not be on the website. If it's not, there will be a link down below to the link where you can do something about that if you so choose. Then back here for the battery relocation, so he has one of these lithium batteries. It's 4 pounds, and it's absolutely insane, this thing. Absolutely insane. So because the ABS is deleted, I removed the ABS computer, and the cavity that the ABS computer used to live in is now where the battery will be. I already test fitted the panel. It fits on it perfectly, so that the battery's going to live back here. I just need to make a bracket to hold it in place. It's kind of wedged between the body and like this seam here, which you can't really see, but I put a blue thing on it so it doesn't like eat into the case of the battery. But I added a nut-cert here. This hole already existed. It was just a factory, just a hole. So I walked it out a little bit with the Dremel, and I put a M6 nut-cert in it, and that's going to be the anchor point for the bracket. And I'm going to make it out of steel so that it's super rigid, and we can get away with only one mount point. So it'll sit up, and it'll just press right up against the battery, and this thing it's not going anywhere. So that's going to be good there. I already made the ground wire, 0 gauge, thick copper core, beautiful wire. Cleaned it, made it look real, I don't know, professional, I guess. Copper crimp, the whole nine. And I'm running it over here to where the rear seat would mount to. I've played around with different mounting points in this back section for main battery grounds, and haven't had much success anywhere other than that spot and the center point for the the spare tire. But even after I did the spare tire one, I just didn't like it, so I didn't use it. But that's the best point from what I've seen. I tried the strut towers and it worked once, and then it just stopped working. Long story, but I don't use the strut mount points anymore. I just go there. So the ground is longer than I want it to be, but it's fine. And then for the power, once the panel is on, he has this top piece here. I'm going to put the breaker right here, so that if you lift the panel up, the breaker is right there. You can trip the breaker. Basically a kill switch, so if you're parking the car for a long time, you have to worry about the battery draining and dying or anything like that. So it'll be right there, and everything's just going to run to this positive terminal. So I have to run a power from here to the breaker, and then from the breaker all the way to the front of the car to where the fuse boxes will be, and then that'll power the whole car, and it'll be nice and clean, and it'll be beautiful, and you know, all that jazz. And yeah, I did a little bit of housekeeping in that back corner there. Once I got everything out, engine bay is really clean actually. This is gonna be really nice when it's all done. Really looking forward to it. Next day, so got a little tied up with some other stuff, so I didn't make anywhere near as much progress as I wanted, but I did do the most annoying thing of all of this, and that is run the wire for the battery relocation. So our power wires ran. I just have it right here so it's anchored, because you know, when I was pulling it, I needed it to be held. So starts there, runs the path here. It goes down below the carpet line, like down there. So it's out of the way of stuff. And then even in here, it contours up to the body, and it's completely out of the way of everything. It's also below the carpet line. And then I went ahead and cleaned up this entire wheel well, so it's not a mess in here anymore. The wire comes through here. This is the hole that the fuel pump rewire wire was using, so I just used it, and I was going to use this anyway. This is where I do that. And then I went up, and this is the first time I'm trying this, and I think I'm going to do this from now on, but I went up into the body instead of along the chassis harness. I went up into the body. There's a hole already there for it. It fits, 4-gauge wire with the terminal, everything. It fits right up in there. And then I ran it in through the frame rail and out, and down there, here, added a clamp right there to a stud that already exists, and then routed it the way that it normally runs anyway. And then this harness here was zip tied with a bunch of zip ties to the car, so took that off and used an existing hole but up here, and added a clamp with a bolt as acting as a stud and a nut. So that's just way better. And we deleted the washer bottle. I asked him, he said he's never used it for any reason. He bought a brand new one, and like, it's full, you know, I mean, he's never used it. He said it was a waste. So but yeah, power wires ran completely all the way up here to the fuse box, so now all I gotta do is mount this, and that's good. I'm waiting on the breaker to come in so that I can make this legal. Then that'll be completely done. Boom. So you can see now how much nicer it is with an ABS delete that was intended to be an ABS delete. Oh, also did the tuck clutch line as well. Once the motor's in, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, so this whole area is cleaned up now. All of this, nice and neat. And then same thing on this side. There's not much to clean up in here, although I will be in here for some stuff soon. I'm fairly confident I'm going to relocate his fan relays. I took them off of here because I want cleanliness everywhere. I'm addicted to it. The fuel pump rewire that was done in here, once I actually cut that piece out and I started actually looking at it, this is a mess in here, like a real mess. And tomorrow, when I actually pull the whole thing out and do it properly, we'll see. But we'll do the whole fuel pump mod properly, which if you're interested in that, there's a video link on the screen, so you can go do that to your FD the correct way. So by Friday night, which today is Wednesday, by Friday night I would like the motor, the trans, the power plant frame. Maybe I need to take that to the welder tomorrow. Power plant frame, I want the whole powertrain in the car so that I can do the radiator, I can do the intercooler, oil lines, coolant lines, put the turbo in. Like, a lot of stuff can start happening once the motor's actually in the car. That's a really big step. Fast forward just a tiny bit. I went ahead and just pulled the whole harness out and also emptied the trunk. I don't remember if I did that already, but pulled the whole harness out so we can see this nonsense here. So once I got the relay out, I see it's a SPAL relay. So we're actually going to reuse that relay, and we're also going to reuse the harness thing off of here because I would have done that anyway. So I'm just going to cut it off. Once I delume it, I haven't deloomed it yet. But I'm just going to cut it off below where they started doing nonsense and then just build non-nonsense off of that. Now, where it gets stupid is here on the harness. So I'm going to see what's under here, but just from this, I can already tell you this is stupid and wrong. And then, of course, this is the wire that ran all the way to the front of the car, which doesn't need to do that anymore because the battery's not up there. So I'm going to delume this. I'm going to analyze what the hell, and then we're going to fix it. Got the whole thing deloomed, looked it over to see what it was that they did. So I had to shift my thinking a little bit because I was looking for a particular execution, and that's just not the method that they use. So what they did, they took the factory wires, right, and then they bridged it through the relay. Now, I wouldn't say there's anything necessarily wrong with it, but it's not exactly right. So this red-white wire is the power wire for the fuel pump normally, and it would go to the red-white wire. So normally this wire here would be attached here, so it'd just be a straight shot, and then of course the whole relay assembly in the middle. The issue with this is actually on the fuel pump hanger. If you want a detailed explanation about how this is supposed to go, you can watch the fuel pump rewire video. Then you can do that, and you'll know the explanation. But this is I'm going to fix all this. Get that rewired, modify the hanger per the video that you guys should watch if you want to know how I'm going to do this. And then this very big and really the most annoying step of any build. I really don't like doing this. It's just too much like stuff going on, and it's tedious, and there's so many steps, just the whole thing. But anyway, knock that out, move on to something else. Very annoyingly, I had to drill out one of the Allen bolts that held the fuel pump on because these things were torqued super high. I don't know if they make impact sockets this size, but they were all extremely tight. And I got lucky because only one of them stripped out. So drilled the head off of that, which sucked. Then got the pump out. So this strainer is definitely doing its job. And there's a 450 in there. And the way they wired this, that's destined to fail. So I got a new plug on the way, so I'm going to pin that. And we're going to drill the hole. We're going to mod this the rest of the way, but we're going to fix this. This is fine. I was going to do that anyway, so that's fine. But yeah, this strainer definitely was doing its job. So I got another strainer on the way. I don't want to clean this one and reuse it. And I'm also going to replace this hardware with better Allen hardware. I do use these little M4 Allen bolts when I do this process, but I don't use this button head style. I use the other kind, the one that makes more sense for this application. So all those are going to get swapped out as well. We're going to go as far as we can with this install. We're not going to be able to complete it because we need those things, but we'll go as far as we can. Fuel pump rewire is all the way complete. Now, can you see the difference? Us versus them. But you can see just infinitely cleaner than what they had going on in there. Yes, this does take a lot more effort to do it this way. But a lot of things take effort. So it's fixed. And I'm very proud of it, and I like the way it came out. So all the hard stuff is done now, which is like nice. Like the battery relocation, and the fuel pump rewire are the two things that I dread the most because they take so much time, and you have to just do it, and it just takes so much time. But anyway, those are out of the way. Everything else is easy after this, relatively speaking. So where do we go from here? Next, we're going to pull the bumper, and there's some mounting points in there that he wants fixed. So we're going to pull the bumper to do that, which is going to allow us to drop the intercooler out, which we're going to reuse for the V-mount because it's the type that we use, and he already has one, no need to buy a new one. And then we're going to move on to getting this engine in the car. Way behind on that. Way behind on that. This week, other stuff happened. So way behind on doing that. That motor was supposed to be in this car 2 days ago, but it's not. So that sucks. Motor, trans, power plant, frame, drive shaft, the whole nine underneath is supposed to be already installed, and it's just not. Motor's actually still sitting there and it needs to be painted. I'm upset. But that's gonna be the next thing we're gonna do. Before we even take the bumper off, we're gonna press on with that. But that'll be for another video. This one, we're clocking out. I feel like we got enough done in this first part where we don't need to crowd it up. So big progress. Big progress, you know, with all this stuff here. So it's nice. It's nice. This car's really coming together. I think this is gonna be one of my top. I couldn't tell you how it's gonna drive because I think this car is gonna make like a lot of power. Couldn't tell you how it's gonna drive, but I know work-wise, this one's gonna be probably in my top when it comes to execution. So see you guys in the next video. Full Detail Automotive. Like, comment, subscribe. Questions, comments, gripes, moans, complaints, so on and so forth. Go ahead and leave them down below, and I will address them individually, as I love to do. So thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one.